Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew First Culture Podcast. This is Jeremy again. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's a great day. It's been a while since I've had a guest on, so just in that aspect, I'm excited, but I'm beyond excited because I've got one of my dear friends, good brothers that I love and cherish, Mr. Nathan Gardner. How you doing, Nathan?
Good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. So Nathan is known by pretty much everybody that I'm around by Tuna. So if that lands home a little closer to something more familiar, we'll go by that. But Nathan, man, honestly, just this trying to figure out how to get into this. So Nathan is a part of the TRT, the Tactical Resiliency Training Cadre that I somehow have found myself a part of. And I've talked a lot about that, had several of the other members on here. And it's just interesting because even today, it's still less than a year, since I met you all. And just within that short, probably 10 months now, I'm closer to several of you guys than any other people in my life outside of my family. So when I introduce you in that way, I truly mean it. These are the relationships that I truly do cherish and need so much, as we all do. So I really appreciate it. And another piece of excitement for me, this is your first podcast. So are you nervous?
Oh yeah. Yep. There's no
Yeah,
doubt. I don't feel like I
it'd
should
be
be here.
good.
So
Just like
yeah.
we told, just like I told our other good friend Mark, man, you have every right to be here. That's for sure. You've got an amazing story and some intense, just emotional ties to some of these things that people need to hear. So I'm looking forward to getting into everything that we got kind of planned out here and just hearing some of your story and letting you share some of your story. So again, thank you for joining me, man.
Uh feel very fortunate to be here.
So if if you will, and I'll leave this up to you, just kind of get us into, I guess, first of all, you are now retired. Is that correct? Officially retired?
Yes, sir.
Yep. From the and I get these confused because there's a lot going on around Palm Beach. So let us
Yeah.
let us in on where that was at.
Palm Beach County Fire Rescue.
Okay. And how long are you there?
17 years.
Okay. So retired out as a captain, Palm Beach County, and we'll get into kind of some of the inner workings of why that is here in a little bit. But I just wanted to give a little insight on kind of where you came from, childhood, any of that stuff. Just go where you want to go, and we'll kind of steer it wherever it heads after that.
All right. So normally I wouldn't say that um someone's childhood well, I would. Obviously your childhood is incredibly important to you. I guess what I'm trying to articulate is that I guess I snoozed on how dramatically the events of your childhood can play out in your adult life. Um, and uh, so, well, we'll just get into it. I was born in Concord, New Hampshire. I'll age myself in 74. It was obviously a different time. Um, I grew up to, underneath a school teaching mother. My dad had taught school as well. My dad was in the army, and so I was raised. I was raised right. I feel very fortunate that my father did the best he could with what he had to to raise me the way that he felt was going to best benefit me. And as a dad now, you look back and just go, man, if I had listened to 1% of what my dad said, I'd be a billionaire. I'd be on a yacht right now. But the reality is that as I watch my kids, as I tell them expressly not to do something, that you're going to have to learn on your own. And so my childhood was interesting. And I'll tell you that my mother's bout with cancer uh definitively shaped uh the next probably 20 25 years of my life. Um, my mother had lung cancer, metastasized to her brain, and over the course of 5 years, I guess from the time I was 5 till 10, I got to watch her die. And it wasn't until I was at the Center of Excellence almost 30 years later that I realized that uh, what that event had done to me and how it had shaped the way that I looked at the world. Um, so from Jump Street, coming out of the gate, I had, I had I lost all four grandparents in a very short period of time as well afterwards. And then I lost two really close best friends in my senior year. And that is what I guess kind of shaped the way that, and how, well, it shaped my ability to process trauma and grief. Um, but what I didn't know was until I went to the Center of Excellence that my little 9-year-old amygdala had downloaded uh, a very succinct yet very unhealthy uh, mind state, and that was that I wasn't able to protect my mom, and I failed her. And not knowing or consciously feeling that way, I just could never understand why I always felt like I was missing something, or why I was so emotionally charged with everything. And that's because, I never truly processed my mom's death. And more importantly, I felt as though I couldn't protect her. And as a 9-year old, you don't understand that, you know, that ship sailed. It was, that was going out to sea no matter what I did. And it took uh, a therapist named Steven, who we used to call Yoda, because the guy just literally, uh, it's like he could tell the future. But there was a very dramatic day where he brought that to my attention, and it was like a 1 million pound weight was lifted off me. I realized why I looked through those color lenses my whole life. But so that's the sad part of my childhood. The fun part of my childhood is that I grew up, you know, on a 400-acre farm. Every summer we go to my grandmother's farm and watch deer and, go snowmobiling and all the other fun stuff. Um, but that also leads into another interesting aspect of my life, and that's the broken bones and surgeries and everything else. I very distinctly remember my grandfather used to take us out in the snowmobile, and he'd hand us a compass and a bag lunch, and he'd drive around in circles all over the farm and snow knee deep, and he'd be like, "All right, see you at lunch." I'm like, what? Where? What are you talking about? You got a compass. Find your way back to the house. Heading's 270. We're like, 270 what? What are you talking about? Do we walk on 270? Like, what are you talking about? And that's how I was raised. Trial by fire, almost with everything. And so that kind of made me the crazy ass person that I am now. Um, but that also created some of the happiest memories that I've ever had, which in turn has created this dream desire to ride around on a tractor on my own property with my kid riding on front of me, so I can yell at him not to put his thumbs in the steering wheel so they don't get ripped off. And um, but I had a great childhood, um, in the sense that it was safe. Um, it was a different time. I get on the skateboard and at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'd never come home till it was dark. No cell phones. It was just a very free time to be around. So I think that definitely helped create that sense of freedom that I have and desire to do crazy shit. Um, but my dad built malls, and in I guess 90 or 91, I got the worst information in the world because I had a really, I thought, beautiful girlfriend at 16 years old, and that was my life. and my dad told us we're going to move to Florida. And yeah, so broke out of the house, tried to run away. My dad handled that the way that he used to handle stuff like that. And I physically was apprehended, brought back to the house, and quite a few bills were paid out of my hide. Um, but we moved down to Florida, and you want to talk about a culture change, going from a school that from, the whole entire school is 500 kids to 4,000 in high school. That was that was interesting. But I played football, and so I enjoyed that. Um, but after that, I went to college. Went to UF for 6 months, and
Is that
went
because
to
you're super smart and just got the degree in 6 months, or
took
no?
2 seconds. I took 2 classes, got my degree, and I was out of there. Uh, uh, you know, so anybody that knows anything about Florida, FSU and UF are like this massive, you know, hate each other.
Mhm.
So I ventured up into enemy territory and realized that the girl to guy ratio in Tallahassee was about 5 girls to one guy, and it was about 3 guys to one girl in UF. So I informed my father that I was throwing away my college career to go to a more target rich environment in FSU and go to Tallahassee Community College. Uh, yeah, that went over like a fart in church. And so I threw away my collegiate career uh, to chase women. Um, and then that's where life gets really interesting. I don't think there's a job that I haven't done, man. I've made snow at Sugarloaf in Maine. That was really fun. Probably one of the hardest physical jobs I've ever done. I worked in a nursery moving trees. Uh, so I was a
You
chef
said you
for eight
don't mean
years.
to interrupt you here, but making snow is the most physical thing you've ever done. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my gosh.
How is
So so I'll tell you this. So I will tell you some of my fondest memories are from making snow. So people don't realize, like, when you just show up at a freaking ski resort, man, and it's just this big, beautiful mountain covered in snow, and you can see all the white trails. Well, dude, there was some poor schmucks that literally had to hike up, and you don't see is there's rocks the size of cars and stuff under there. There's so much snow. When you look at that mountain when there's no snow on it, you're like, what in the world? So we would have to hike up carrying high pressure water and hose lines up the side of the mountain because there's pressured water and air lines that go up the side of the mountain. So you'd have to go up, carry up that 100-pound gun that sits on a tripod, put that out on the trail, and you'd have to move these things every, because you can only blow snow. It's not like they're oscillating, So if you didn't pay attention, dude, you just blow this massive pile of snow in the middle of the trail. And in the early season, the cats can't come and groom it. So, I mean, we literally hiked nonstop. Um, but I'll tell you the funnest thing about that is I work night shift, and you would get this real thick, uh, like, it's like just a sheet of plastic. But all I can liken it to is Clark Griswold in that freaking sled where he lights the snow on fire. You'd cut it out like this, it'd come down, that would go underneath your chode, go around, you just have a big circle where your butt is. You tie it off around your waist. And so once we had some snow on the ground, we'd literally just what was called butt sledding. You take your ice
Oh
axe,
my gosh.
and I'll tell you, being a bigger fella, obviously gravity works in my favor going downhill. And I mean, we literally would race the snowmobiles just to get to clock our times at how
Oh my
fast we were going.
gosh.
And that was always fun until you couldn't stop. And you'd shoot off a 8 or 9 foot cliff down into the rocks and lay there for an hour going, hands are working,
Checking
feet
all
are
your
working.
pieces.
Oh man, I've been knocked out so many times, Jay, that I have this reboot process where I start with my left foot and I just, all right, that one works. Oh, right foot works. All right, cool. But I'll tell you, the day that I laid the motorcycle down going 70, when I tried to do my reboot. I went to move my left leg and my right leg, first time ever. And I went, oh, that's not good. All right, let me do
Yeah,
that one more time. Left foot, right hand. Oh, and
something's
that's,
not good.
yeah. And I woke up in the middle of the road to this big Haitian lady standing over top of me going, oh, sugar, don't you move. Your head, it's all smushed. I was like, fantastic medical term. Your head is smushed. Um, so as you can tell, I suffer ADD horribly, and I'll be all over the place. You're just gonna have to wrangle me in. But yeah, so my childhood, I guess the one thing that I just want to, kind of reiterate as far as like my childhood is understanding now, the importance of those childhood events and what they can do to you down the road. Um, when I was in the Center of Excellence, they gave us this test called the ACE test, and it's adverse childhood experiences or events. And it was a really interesting fact that the higher the number, obviously, the more traumatic incidences that you've endured. If you have an ACE score of 5 or higher, you're like 80% more likely to go into a profession of law enforcement, first response, or being a soldier. And I found that to be really interesting,
Yeah,
uh, simply based on the fact that, um, when we come in, we've got a bunch of trauma prior to
we're already
even
messed up.
running our first call. And it's like, that's why we're so effed up, because
That's
we
man,
all congregate together.
that is super interesting. So do you think you can contribute that to we went through bad stuff as kids, and so we feel the need to rectify some of that, or do what we can to keep others from feeling. I mean, is that kind of where where that
Yep.
heads?
Yeah, 100%.
Interesting.
If you feel as though you're unable to protect yourself or somebody else, I don't know if you've ever been in a fight or whatever, but the first time that I was ever in a fight, um, I literally just stood there and I took 2 or 3 punches to the face, and they beat the living crap out of my buddy. And I got home and I told my dad, and my dad's first question was, "What did you do about it?" And I said, "Nothing." And then he proceeded to show me exactly what I should have done by doing it to me, and explaining to me the importance of brotherhood and your friends, and no matter what that feeling is, that you have to overcome it. So in that moment, um, as a young person, I don't think we comprehend the synchronicity of all these events that happen to us, because we're not taught how to process this stuff, right? And synchronicity is, by definition, you know, unprocessed events. Uh, and then prior to you processing it, you experiencing more traumatic stuff. Um, so I will tell you, if I hadn't already had that mindset, I was bouncing in Tallahassee and just sitting at the front door, and I watched this kid get hit by a truck. It was one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. Probably went 10 or 12 feet in the air, and it sounded like somebody dragging a full Yeti cooler down the middle of the road. This guy skid and slid probably 30 feet on his face, and he's not moving. And I was standing next to a Tallahassee Police Department officer, and I was frozen in fear, like could not move. I was like, I just watched somebody get killed. This dude goes from macking on 2 chicks to in the middle of Tennessee Street, which I don't know if you know anything about Tallahassee. Tennessee Street is like the main drag. He's out there. He's got traffic stopped. He's on the radio. He's checking pulses. He's working this kid. And I don't think I've ever felt like I did that first time I didn't react in a fight. I just froze. And I made a conscious thought process that that will never happen to me again. What kind of a man has an inability to react when something
Yeah.
bad happens? And so that was very much, I think, that moment, it was like, I'm going to overcome this. And what's a better way to do that than to become a fireman? And ironically, you know, my brother was a police officer, and so I went to, you know, my brother's like, be a cop, man. And I was like, I went and did a couple ride-alongs with one of my buddies who's a SWAT cop, and we got spit on and told to F off. And so I was like, man, it's just doesn't seem like a friendly job. So I went and took the criminal basic abilities test, and I think I got 100. All I know is that I got a phone call saying, "Hey, listen, you know, we want you to come." And there was 8 months until the class started. So my brother's like, "Go take EMT school. It'll make you more hireable." So of course, in EMT school, you do rides with fire departments, and man, my first ride was with the Riviera Beach, and I think we ran 20 calls. And probably 5 or 6 times I had literally people, you know, say to us, "Thank God you're here. Oh my God, this is amazing." You know, and I'm like, "Oh, well, this is a no-brainer. Screw being a cop. Like, this is amazing." And and that was it right there. That sensation of being able to alleviate someone's pain or suffering was one of the most empowering feelings I had ever had. I was like, this is it. I remember driving home that night after doing being a chef and a bouncer and just kind of getting caught up in that restaurant life and just going, I guess this is it. And then you know, if it wasn't for my little brother pushing me, uh, you know, that's how that all started. So I ended up going from being a cop to being a fireman. And obviously, as all cops and firemen know, that's the best decision I've ever made. So
Well, so I got to stop you there because I'm a little I'm confused on the timeline because I know there's a piece missing here and I'm just trying to work it all together. So I know somewhere in the mix here you took a little trip overseas for a little bit. So how does that work into this? And tell me a little bit about this because I can't wait to hear where this is going to head here.
so and this all hinges off one of the most important people in my universe, and that's my Uncle Oliver. That's I had to fall in love with that name because my dad gave me that as a middle name. So Oliver Gardner is my uncle. And we had talked about this a little bit before, but um, so my uncle has this really rare degenerative spinal cord disease. And one of the hardest things that I can look back upon is watching his physical demise over the last 20 years and going from a walker, well, a cane to two canes to a walker to a wheelchair. And throughout this entire process, my uncle is still sailing. I mean, all around the world, sometimes single-handed. He had rigged up his 38-foot Choi Lee sloop so he could man it single-handed, which is, if you know anything about sailing, that's insane for someone who is basically paralyzed from the waist down. Um, Now, when my mom died, my uncle stepped up massively. So he played a huge part in raising me as a man. And when I was just turned 14 years old, my uncle says, "Hey," calls my dad and says, "Hey, I'm going to take Nate to the Bahamas." This is when we lived in New Hampshire. And we're going to sail from the Bahamas to Lake Champlain, New York. Now, as a dad uh, now, mind you, this is also my uncle that let us watch Deliverance when, I can tell you, my dad, I thought was going to kill his brother when my brother and I came home at like, I don't know, 10 and 7, and we're outside, and I was like, "Squeal like a pig." My dad's like, "Where? Where the hell did you hear that?" And we're like, "Oh, this movie Deliverance." And he's like, "Where'd you watch Deliverance?" Because if you've ever seen Deliverance, man, that's not suitable for even adults. Like, that movie is dark.
Yeah.
And so I've always had this really close relationship with my uncle. And as a dad now, it's like, would I trust me take my kid, you know, my son's or my brother's kid sailing? No. Would I trust my brother, who is one of the most responsible people on the planet, to take my kid at 14? So literally we get to the Bahamas, dude. We're not we're not out of the Bahamas for more than a day or two, and a hurricane comes through. Uh, Here's the most embarrassing part, and I'll show you someday. My uncle has video of all this, and I was nowhere near as hard as I thought I was. I had matching Izod shirts and shorts, dude. I was just an absolute tool. And I'm really going to expose myself because I don't care, because I'm all about vulnerability now. My favorite song in the world was Rockset, The Look. And I made like 8 copies because every time my uncle heard that song, he'd launch that with that cassette over the side into the ocean. And you know, a day later he'd be hearing again. He's like, "Where the I already threw it." I'm like, "Oh, there's like 8 more, man. You're never gonna find them." So yeah, there's great video of me in these 30-foot rollers, you know, not breaking. The storm had already gone through. Uh, but there's great video of me literally getting ready to cut away a $15,000 life raft. And my uncle's standing there telling me, "If you cut that thing free, I will leave you in the ocean in it. Enjoy. If you cut my 15,000, there's no danger." I'm 14 years old, though. We're 300 miles offshore. I was positive we were going to die. So if that wasn't enough excitement, um, my uncle, now I'm 22, and he's going to be sailing from Raiatea, French Polynesia, to New Zealand. So of course I'm in. And so we go there, and I have this incredible 6 months, probably one of the most incredible 6 months of my entire life. And so we come home, and about a year and a half later, well, mind you, the weather, we had multiple monsoons, couldn't leave. We weren't able to make the passage. So my uncle still needs to get the boat over there. So about a year later, he invites me and my brother to go back. And uh, well, you know, um, when me and my brother get together, um, catastrophic things happen. Um, it's like we're freaking 10 and 7 again. It's just so ridiculous. We spent a whole summer one year jumping off the highest things we could find in New England. And the goal was that we saved our allowances so that we call them psycho points. And we would look at something and go, "Oh, that's 30 psycho points." So everybody agree, 30 psycho points. Whoever went first would get those points. And at the end of the year, I think we had saved, I don't know what we had saved. Our allowances were garbage, but we had saved enough to buy something that we thought was cool. And if you got enough psycho points, you'd get the cool
On the
thing.
pot, huh?
So, but that was when we were kids. But my brother never let that shit go. Like he's insane. So one day, uh, we got done doing all our chores on the sailboat, and we're gonna go for a walk. And nothing is ever calm or slow with my brother. So he decides that let's go hike this volcano. Sounds cool. Uh, Sounds really cool. So at first it seemed fun. You know, we're from New England. We've hiked mountains our whole lives, and never hiked volcanoes though. Um, so we get about halfway up, and my brother starts shimmying out onto this big rock, just big rock slide. And when I tell you, my brother ice climbs, he is incredibly fit, and very seasoned when it comes to stuff like this. So I had to, because I don't have the same physical ability, I had to come up through the tree line. He's out in the rock face, and we both get stuck at the same exact time. I've got like this 6 foot freaking thing to climb over, and then I'm at the top. So after slipping and falling and finally getting up, I'm so proud of myself. And then I just hear, "I love you." I'm like, "What?" "Listen, I'm in bad shape." And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're in bad shape. And that's all I hear. So now I have a choice, because there's no way to go back down where I came. He yells again, and this time he makes it very clear that he's in deep shit. So I flop my big butt down 6 feet, get caught up in this crazy fall where I'm sliding down on my ass, just banging off trees. And I stop about 6 feet from this. I don't know how far. I'm not going to tuna tail it and tell you it was 200 feet, but it was enough to where I was going to be breaking bones. Finally get up. I got raspberry all down my backside. And that's when I got a clear look at what was going on with my brother. And it's not funny for the next 20 minutes. Where were we? I'm running down towards this farm and I start hearing this crazy noise, man. And I thought maybe I was on acid because I look up and there's like 6 white stallions literally racing towards me. And I was like, okay, so I'm the one that died. I'm the one that fell to my death. This is a dream for sure. Like, where did these they're gorgeous too. I literally have to dive into the catwalk and lean against the side of the mountain. There's these 6 horses go running by, and I'm like, I don't know what kind of omen that is, but that's really foreboding. Uh, I keep running, and I come around this corner, and I scare the living crap out of this poor old guy. And he only speaks French. I speak a little French, and I'm trying to convey to him that my brother's in trouble, and we need to call the gendarmerie, which are the French police officers. So he makes a phone call, and we jump in his Land Rover, and we take what can't be more than a 3-minute drive back up. But I was positive my brother was dead, and there's no way he could hold on this long. And so it was the best sight in the entire universe when we made that corner and I see him and he's still up there. And of course, I don't know, just because of so much shit I've dealt with, then immediately goes right back to being funny as hell. And now I'm heckling him as he's on the side of the mountain. And then I get to see, for the fire service, literally the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And never hear the truck, never heard a helicopter, nothing. But literally from the top of the volcano, here come these Raiatea Fire Department guys, right? They have their helmet on, they have their jacket on, board shorts, and flip flops, and they're rappelling down the side of the freaking volcano. The old guy passes me a pair of binoculars, and I'm looking, and I'm like, this guy's got flip flops on, man. Like, dude, it was the coolest. I mean, granted, our dress policy is a little stiff compared to board shorts and flip flops. But I just thought, man, kudos on that captain. You want to climb down the side of a volcano, be comfortable. They literally shot right down, came right out to my brother, hauled him right up. What we didn't know is that they were just going to leave. What I didn't even know where they went. My brother never shows up again. And me and this farmer are sitting there going, hola. Oh, no, that's Spanish. Hello, monsieur. We're just looking at each other. I'm like, what do we do now? And he goes, you want to go to the police department? I'm like, well, hopefully. I mean, I'm assuming that's where they took him. Dude, I show up at the police department, and my brother's drinking a beer with the cops and the firemen, and they are all just riding him into the dirt. It was one of the funniest things ever. So if that wasn't cool enough, a couple weeks later, we get the local newspaper, and there's the picture of my brother in the Raiatea Times, freaking getting plucked off the side of this volcano by these badass Raiatea FD guys in flip flops, board shorts, and a fire, bunker turnout gear. Yeah, that was a good one for sure. But just like with complete transparency, I will have to call myself out. I was dating this girl at the time, man, and I literally left before we brought the boat back to Hawaii because I was so heartbroken. One of my biggest regrets ever. My uncle called me every name under the sun, man. But yeah, French Polynesia is one of the coolest places I've ever been. Another funny story. My nickname's Tuna. I'm a big waterman. So I brought my spear gun there, and I'm thinking I'm gonna shoot these massive fish and everything. And So free diving one day and I see this crazy ass. It looks like it's 100 years old, this big, crazy net system. And you can swim into it and it just does circles. It's a fish trap. Well, I thought I hit the absolute payload. I go in there and shoot all these fish. And I come home like an absolute god. I'm like, and my uncle's like, where'd you get those fish? Like the ocean. And he goes, specifically where in the ocean? And I said, out by the inlet. And he goes, yeah, you might want to talk to these people here. And I'm like, talk to what people? Oh man. That was a local's fish trap. And I just got every ounce of his freaking food out of there. And yeah, they're coming to kill me, man. And so I had to turn over all the fish to these guys. And my uncle's like, man, we've been here for 1 week. You're gonna get a shot. And I was like, no, not shot. Probably stabbed a little bit, maybe speared, but definitely not shot. I don't think these guys have guns. Um, but man, what a life changing experience, man. Um, I was my nickname over there was Grand Chien, big dog, and I would take all the little kids out spearfishing, and it wasn't until later that I realized that it was in our country that would be child endangerment.
Yeah.
Literally taking these kids out spearfishing, dude. We're having 10, 12-foot tiger sharks right up to us.
Yeah.
And these kids are warriors, man. Zero care. None. I'm like, Grand Requin, big shark. And they're like, it's okay, monsieur.
No
I'm
big
like,
deal.
no, no, it's not okay, man. It could eat you whole. And they're like, they grow up in the water, That's
Yeah.
just part of their life. Yeah, Polynesia was cool, man.
So how I know of a an experience that brought you to Thailand. So how does that tie into everything?
Brother, Thailand is that's one of the craziest periods of my entire life. Um, so I have a problem with my weight, and I have shitty willpower, and so I'll probably be the only guy you've ever met that's lost 100 pounds 4 separate times. And every time I have to go do something dramatic, hike the Appalachian Trail, uh, go sail with my uncle for 6 months. I basically have to go somewhere where there's no snacky cakes. And so Thailand, um, I had gotten to a point, man, where, and it was ironic because it was the heaviest I'd ever been, but I had just gone through our recruit academy a couple of years prior, lost 49 pounds in the academy. And I just had this really crazy, I was training to do MMA and jujitsu and everything. And everybody talks about the benefits of Muay Thai. So I was like, all right. One of the weird things that I do is I do all these trips by myself normally. Um, and it's something that, uh, you know, I guess it was kind of isolation. Um, I don't know if I was doing it purposely or not, but so I went to Thailand for 6 months to go learn Muay Thai and fight. And right from Jump Street, I knew this was going to be a pretty interesting period of time. Um, I walk into the fight camp, and this little Thai guy walks up. Now, I'm not homophobic at all, dude, but I've just never had a strange man hold my hand, boyfriend, girlfriend style like this.
Fingers
And
crossed.
bro, the whole deal. And I'm 350 pounds or something at the time. This guy's like, he looks like my little Thai boy toy. And we're walking through, and now mind you, there's probably 3 or 4 UFC fighters there at the time at Tiger Muay Thai, and just this murderer's row of bad dudes. And here comes the fat kid, first day, hand in hand, and I'm like, oh god, these guys are gonna think really bad shit about me. And he's walking me through the whole camp, and I don't want to be rude, and because I don't know if this is custom or whatever, but I'm like, my face is all red, and I'm going, man. And I look around, and there's other dudes doing it, and I'm like, all right, whatever. It's not that weird, I guess. So I am so I'm trying to get over my Western culture, just fear of what everybody's going to think. And I have this one thought like, it's not a big deal. There's nobody here you're going to know. So who cares? Go ahead, boyfriend it up, dude. Tear it up. And I look over, sitting on the mat next to me is a kid with a Hialeah fire rescue shirt, which is a neighboring department in Thailand. We're like 13,000 miles away, dude. And he looks at me and he goes, this kid's name was Ricky. He goes, you digging holding hands? And I went, nah, man. He goes, I can tell, bro. Ease up, man. He's not gonna grab your dingling. Just chill, bro. It's cool, man. He's just holding your hand. And I'm losing my mind that now there's somebody from my backyard that
Making it
has seen me.
worse.
So if I didn't think it could get any worse, he sits me down. And dude, mind you, I've been literally on a plane and in transit for 29 hours. And he goes, you ready? I was like, ready for what? And he goes, to fight. To no, no, sir, not ready to fight at all. Like not even remotely ready to fight. I'm here to learn how to fight. And he looks down at my feet and he goes, oh no. And I go, oh no, what? And he goes, and he walks away. And this kid looks at me and he looks at my feet too and he goes, oh, what's your name, man? And I was like, my nickname's Tuna. He goes, Tuna, you're gonna love this. Because I can tell right now you're really comfortable with man on man contact. And I wonder how you are with your feet. And I'm like, nobody touches my feet. And he goes, not until today. And I go, what are you talking about? And next thing I know, this guy comes back and he has toenail clippers. And he proceeds to start cutting my toenails. All right, listen, I'm not terrified of my feet, dude, but like I've never had another grown man. Like he's holding it right by his face, and I'm like, got my leg up, and I'm going, what is going on? And he's like, no, 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 you'll kill somebody with these. And I go, what are you talking? He's going, cut their throat right off. And I go, they're not even that long, man. They're like this long. So he cuts them right down, like, I mean, they're down to the cuticle, and I'm like, and he goes, it's okay, big tuna. It's okay. Calm down. You're a tough guy, right? And I'm like, apparently not, because I can't even handle you cutting my toenails. So he gets done, dude, a couple times. He clips me, got blood coming from my feet, and I am just uncomfortable, man. And he hands me a pair of gloves, and I'm like, I got my own gloves. And he goes, not today. And I go, listen, could I maybe see the bungalow and like put my stuff in my room? Because I've got like pile of shit there that I just left at the front, thinking that he was just gonna walk me around or walk me to the bungalow. No, dude, he wants me to go in there and fight right now. And I'm like, I am exhausted. And he goes, well, let's just see where you are. And I was like, all right. I went in there, dude. This guy kicked the living shit out of me. Uh, and I'm thinking, and so what it was just basically a litmus test. And they do that with basically all foreigners just to see what your level of your barrier of interest is, you know, like, are you coming here just to be, uh, to get a little fitness, or are you coming here to be a baller? And so I got pissed, dude, and started really firing back. And that little Thai guy was toying with me on a level that I can't explain to you. And we both threw left kicks at the same time. And I remember thinking instantly, you made a horrible decision coming here. You better get on a plane. You've been here for 6 minutes and you already regret it. Our freaking shins collided. I still have this huge scar on my shin. I'm bleeding all over the place. And this little Thai guy, who's quite possibly a quarter of my size, blows me a kiss like that. And I just thought I immediately regret this decision. Like I never should have come here. I didn't want to put my leg down because I thought my leg was like, I was positive my leg was broken. And this guy's literally laughing at me. So then I got mad and tried to go after him, and then he knocked me out. And that was my first hour of I'd been knocked out within an hour of being in fucking Thailand.
Oh.
And from there, it just got crazier, man. Um, so I'm not a big snake guy. Uh, I'm not terrified of him. No, that's bullshit. I'm terrified of him. We're all about honesty here. Dude, we're coming home from watching my buddy Frank fight, and we're in this TukTuk, which, again, with all transparency, I'll tell you, one of the funniest moments of my life, which was also motivating, is this TukTuk can hold like 4 or 5 guys, Thai guys, not Americans. So I've got Frank, who's a special forces Australia guy, who's just, I mean, they call him Tank for a reason. Two or three other real badass dudes in the TukTuk, and we're going up over the hill to go into Patong, and the TukTuk can't make it up the hill. And the Thai guy looks back, and goes, Tuna, time to train. You run. And I had to get out of the TukTuk in my dress up clothes and run up the freaking up this hill to where we got to where we had gravity on our side. And he goes, okay, big boy, you get in now. And I was like, you guys don't care about fat shaming at all. Like it is,
No.
they are, that does not exist over there, man. So I get in the TukTuk, we go, we watch my buddy just thrash this guy. It was awesome. You know, get into some, that was the night I drank Cobra blood, which made me shit for 3 days. Thought that was going to be part of the Thailand, you know, experience. It tastes like
Initiation.
battery acid. It was absolutely horrible. My fingers tingled, and so now we're going home. It's probably 2 o'clock in the morning, and I've got a really nice bungalow and everything, but they hadn't cut the grass in probably a week, so it's probably 6 inches high. And we're getting ready to pull into Tiger Muay Thai, and all of a sudden the TukTuk just veers off the road, and the driver is just screaming in Thai, and he goes, "Big snake, big snake!" I I'm like, I'm drunk as shit, and we're in Thailand, dude. Every snake over there literally can kill you. And mind you, after we saw a fertilance, which is one of the most venomous snakes, I went and talked to. This is the coolest thing. You want to do EMS? Do EMS in Thailand. It's a pickup truck. They roll up like, you know, the 1950s freaking doo, 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 and they just launch you in the back of the pickup truck and go. Like that's it, dude. It's amazing. There is no starting lines or any of that other bullshit. You just they literally chuck you in the truck and drive. And it's like, all right. So I had gone to the EMS guys and I was like, hey, do you guys carry anti-venom? And the response was hilarious. Oh, you don't take anti-venom. Anti-venom kill you quick. I'm like, what? Oh yeah, anti-venom's not good. Many allergic reactions. I was like, okay. So you don't even have anything for if I get bit? You don't. We have, but you don't want. I'm like, all right. All right. So now I know that, you know, if I get bit, you're just gonna die. So I
Yeah.
have that in the back of my head. Jump out of this TukTuk. Jeremy, this King Cobra, again, I don't want to toot and tell this thing up, but all I know is that its head was in the grass on this side and its tail was in the grass on that side across. Now it's only 2-lane road. It's not like a super highway, but dude, it has to be 12, 13 feet long. It's that big around. King Cobra. Now, mind you, I'm a Discovery Channel freak show. My son will tell you that a single drop of Cobra blood can kill 100 elephants. Like, I'm very, very wary of this thing. Of course, it slizzes right in the grass, right towards my bungalow. And that's it. I'm not going to my bungalow. So I go and I sleep at the pool. And well, tried to sleep because, of course, every 2 seconds I'm dreaming about some cobra eating me. And so the next morning, you know, I wake up, I'm at the pool. There's all these people, you know, because I was hungover, and they're all out there hanging out by the pool. And I wake up to this lady screaming, and it's one of the ladies that does the chores, you know, that does the laundry and stuff. And she's got a shovel and she's beating the shit out of another cobra that's probably only about this big. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 feet long. She wails that I wake up to her screaming, and I'm thinking that that's the same snake and it's coming to kill me again. She chopped the shit out of this thing. Uh, I mean, she sounded scared, but she didn't act scared. Like she handled that. And I thought, man, one day I'll be as brave as that chick. Uh, I went to the manager and I was like, hey, I'm not going back to my bungalow until you guys cut the grass because there's a man killer just waiting for me to go home. So they cut the grass and everything. They actually went out because the TukTuk driver had, I guess, gone and talked to the manager, was like, I'm not screwing around. That's a big one. They literally walked bare feet, man. I watched them like a search party go up the side of the volcano next to the, not volcano, but this hill behind the fight camp, stomping in the dead grass, trying to find this cobra.
Scared
And I'm
out.
like, bro, the balls you have to walk around in bare. I wouldn't have gone out there, dude, with like a juggernaut suit on. Not, even with a, you know, freaking M60. That snake was so terrifying. Yeah, um, Thailand was a very interesting time. Got to meet some of the coolest dudes on the planet. Uh, found out that um, found out a lot about myself. Um, those guys pushed me, so I lost 100 pounds when I was there. Uh, yeah, it was a wild experience. I will tell you, uh, I don't think I've ever seen work ethic like that. Um, my private Muay Thai guy, um, I, who knows what he makes, but he would literally train all day. Same thing with the guys that were across the street building this 3 or 4 story building. I don't know what a bucket of concrete weighs, but it's got to be close to 100 pounds. These guys slung buckets of concrete on bamboo scaffolding for 12 hours a day, smiling, singing. And I just kept thinking, man, I would love to try to find a group of guys in the United States that would be willing to do that for
Yeah.
the zero money they're making. Well, they get done. Then they go to Patong and they fight foreigners for $20. And they go in there and it's all fixed. You know, you go in and these guys have 200-300 fights. There's no Farangs that are coming over there to learn how to train Muay Thai that are going to beat up one of these guys. So after throwing concrete for 12 hours, these guys go in there and purposely take a dive, getting the crap beat out of them for 10, $20, something like that. It's probably not even $20. It's probably a lot less than that. But man, you want to talk about uh like my private instructor, dude, he had literally, a thatched hut, dude. But I mean, everything around it was crystal clean. The pride, it's just totally different, man. Just because you don't have money doesn't mean that you can't be prideful or that you can't take care of your stuff. Um, and working in some of the places I've worked where like you look at the dumpster and the dumpster's empty and there's 6 inches of trash around it. And you're like, your front door is 6 feet away. You have no
Yeah.
pride in what
Yeah.
your place looks like. Do something about it. Over there, that doesn't exist, man. Like,
Yeah.
so coming back to
Crazy.
the States, that was a very crazy transitional period because I used to be able to eat the best food on the planet, scooter, private lessons, everything for less than $400 a month. And that's with the bungalow. And so when I came home and I got to LAX and I paid $10 for a bottle of water, I was like, we're doing it wrong, man. Um, and just the sheer beauty of Thailand, man. That place is just incredible. But it's definitely a different way of life, man. There's no
Yeah.
you slip up. I got surrounded one night while I had a few beers, and these guys walked up and they were like, "Nice scooter." I was like, "Thanks, bro." Totally stupid. Two more guys come out. How much that scooter cost? I'm like, I don't know. I'm renting it, bro, but it's super fast. And I'm just totally having a good time with these guys. And then I realized there's like 3 more show up, and I'm like, these guys really like my scooter. They all have scooters. What? And then I was like, shit, this is a robbery. Okay. And the guy pulls out this knife and he goes, I think I want to take the scooter. And I just went, wow, just took off. They didn't chase me, nothing. I tell the story and I got back, to camp and they're like, bro, you're so lucky they didn't shoot you or stab you. And I'm like, these little guys, they're so nice, bro. Then you read the newspaper and see what's going on. And I was like, I am so lucky to get out of there with my skin. Uh,
Yeah.
because, it's just like going to Mexico, man. The bad guys are really bad. Everybody else is good, but the people that are bad are real bad.
All right. Thank you all for joining us today for this first part of the conversation I had with the big tuna, Nathan Gardner. He's quite the talker, so this conversation went a little over 3 hours. So we're gonna break it up a little bit. I'll release all the episodes together so you can listen straight through if you want. But next episode we'll pick right up where we left off. So thank you. Look forward to seeing you then.